What's up, everybody?
What's up, Frank? Yeah, Coach, they weren't too tired today after that two-a-day, were they?
They didn't behave that way. The guys were ready to get after it, and we had another spirited practice. We pushed them really hard. If they're not the sorest tomorrow that they're going to be all year, then I haven't done my job. So we made sure they're going to be nice and sore.
Curious with the 5-on-5 today, what are things that just you're looking at when you're watching? You're like, are you watching individual play, or are you watching just overall how guys react to each other? What's your points that you're
Yeah, I'm watching the system more than anything, and just really trying to give real time accountability to the habits that we're trying to build. There's always film the next day, and that'll be a big accountability piece for us. But you don't get to have a lot of live action practice throughout the regular season where you can blow the whistle, stop, teach, correct. So we try to get as much of that in as we can now.
When I was asking Josh about the amount of length you guys have defensively, he said it's like a jungle in there whenever he drives right now. How do you as a coach maximize through your principles and your schemes the extra bit of length you guys seem to have?
Well, you still do it all the same. You still coach it all the same, but the length just makes it better, and especially on the defensive side of the ball. We do want to encourage our guys to be active on the boards, to use our length. But speed and length is going to be, a strength of ours. It's how we're built. Our mindset of physicality will be there, but we know we're not going to be the biggest, strongest team out there. But you can still be the most physical team, even if you're not the biggest and strongest. And that's going to be our approach.
For the uneducated, can you just explain as defensive mind how much that extra bit of length can help you guys?
Yes. So obviously at the basket, with dissuading shots and grabbing boards, but also the length in the perimeter. We want everybody down in a stance in their gaps and shrinking the floor. And if there's less driving lanes because we got longer dudes out there, it's just tougher for opposing offensive players to think they can get to the basket. And then obviously contesting shots on the perimeter. You got the length that we have, flying at shooters to contest, makes things more difficult as well.
So, Coach, after winning the championship with the Lakers, what do you bring here to the Suns? It's a different team, a different environment, different landscape, so to speak. Do you bring anything from that experience here to the Suns?
Yeah, I mean, I think the championship was the result of what of the work we put in and the system that we have and the culture that we build with the Lakers. But I think the system and the culture is what we try to bring here. And we know that in the right environment with the right talent level and the right pieces fitting, that it can lead to a championship. But there's a strong belief in our culture being defined as the way we do things, both how we go about our business on and off the court, but the on the court culture of our defensive scheme, our offensive system. We try to have as many answers as we can for whatever we're going to encounter, and we try to tie all the strings together. And hopefully with the talent that we have here, putting that type of talent in the culture that we know can win a championship will deliver this city its first.
Josh had told us about the first time you guys met in Chicago in an elevator years ago, and
you
had gotten on and told him you loved this game.
Yeah.
See a guy that you had kind of like looked from afar and been like, that's the type of guy I would have to coach.
I love his game. I do. I told him that years ago, and I think I told him that yesterday as well, just as a little reminder of that elevator meeting. I love tough-minded, athletic dudes. That play extremely hard, play with a high motor. Those guys change games. And I love what he can do as a point of attack defender. He seems to be able to strip anybody that he wants to strip, because he has great hands. But how he runs the floor, how he attacks off the bounce, and how he crashes the boards, is also going to help us as well.
What kind of things when you were in LA, you went up against Nurkic a lot. What kind of problems did he create for you guys?
Yeah, physicality. He's one of the guys on our team that should most nights be able to dominate his matchup with physicality. And that's the one thing that I love about him. Obviously, he's a great passing big man. He's got a great feel for that stuff. We can throw it to him in the post, and he can score on his own. And then he can finish in rolls as well. And obviously, he's played a lot over the last few years. In the pocket when Dame's getting double teamed, and we have guys that are going to draw that type of attention as well. So he's very experienced there. And then defensively, just the size at the basket and being an elite defensive rebounder, is going to help us secure the boards and get our guys out on the break.
Have you had a big that passes like he does?
Yeah, I mean, I've coached a long time, so I mean, we've had a lot of different levels of it. The guy that comes to mind most probably is Marcus Sol. He's a guy that we really wanted to throw the ball to and pass and move. Booch in Orlando was really good at that. Roy Hibbert, was underrated, as a passer. Back then we played a lot through the post more than the top of the floor. But he could dime guys up, and and obviously AD can do it all. So we've had some, throughout my career. But Nurk's one of the better ones that I've coached for sure.
Is that Coach Jim O'Brien this year?
Yeah. Seeing him, it's great. He's one of my closest friends, my mentor in every sense of the word. He's shown me the type of person that I want to be. We connected very early in my life when I went to Kentucky as an undergrad student. And mentors, they always mentor you, and they teach you and they show you the way, but they're not always in position to give you the actual promotions, to move you up and advance your career. And he did that all the way through. And, I owe my whole career to him. So it was important to me to have an opportunity to, now that he's not with the team and retired, to bring him out and get him back in the gym and in the coaches' meetings and picking his brain and using his mind and his insight on what we're doing and how we can be better.
When you think about your career and he recommended you to replace you in Indiana, when you think about that now, you're like, man, that was a huge part of what you ended up as a coach.
It's incredibly unselfish. A lot of people can, get in their feelings, if they know there's going to be a coaching change. And, he understood, that, there was a possibility that year and really set the stage with Larry Bird for me to be a guy that he should really consider to take over if there was a coaching change, if one was needed. And it reached that point. And, I even remember getting the call from Larry and telling Larry adamantly that he's making a mistake, that Obi's going to turn it around. Like, just give us more time. I don't want to be the coach. I think Obi should be the coach. And before Larry could say a word, Jim O'Brien jumps in and says, Frank, it's me. I'm on the call too. I'm in here with Larry, and this is the right thing for this team. And you should stop talking and accept the job. So, I'll always be grateful for Obi.
In which ways do you see Boko impacting this team in game?
Yeah, well, he's unique. He's as unique as any player in the NBA, and he's got perimeter skills. But I do think that he's going to play. We like to use him more as a 4-5 on this team. Potentially play on the perimeter around a big. Potential giant lineup of Durant, Bol in the center. But I also think that he could be a small ball center where we can mix pitches, and he can, bring a lot of perimeter skills to the center position that not a lot of guys at his size have. So, yeah.
Has there been any players that have stood out to you from a leadership standpoint so far?
Yeah, I think I think Book obviously is understands that with the change in the roster and us being different from a leadership structure than we were the last few years, he's had to step up and be more vocal, and I have seen that. But obviously he leads more with his example, and as does KD. KD is a big time tone setter with how hard he goes in all his individual work, all his practices. It's really, really impressive. And then Brad has been both a vocal leader and a lead by example guy as well. And the other guy that I would say is worth noting that I think is going to be important from a leadership standpoint is Eric Gordon, right? He's really seen a lot in this league. He's somebody that everyone respects, for who he is as a guy, what he stands for. And I think he'll have a strong voice in our locker room as well.